UCCU ballpark, the scene of the crime. We've got 2 games down, 2 games left to go here in the Utah High School Activities Association 2026 5A Baseball State Championship bracket play round. 4 games each, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The next game we have up here for you is going to feature the number 1 team in the state of Utah, the defending 5A champions, the Spanish Fork Dons, taking on region foe, the number 9 Payson Lions. And Mike, we've got an all Region 7 matchup for us. A couple of teams that are very familiar with each other. What can we look for this evening?
Yeah, these are teams that have played each other multiple times. They know each other. A lot of these guys play on different teams together. I think we're going to see a good battle between each one of these teams. Both of them come in on a nice win, with Payson having beaten Alta in extra innings to get here. So they've kind of got a little bit of that momentum, a little bit of more of that excitement on their side that's coming around. And Spanish Fork's just been taking care of business. I think we're going to see a good battle. And I think the team that can put more hard hit balls in play today and make the basic plays in the field will be the ones that will walk away the winner.
Taking a look at these 2 teams, tail of the tape, the Spanish Fork Dons 22-3 this season, finished 2nd in Region 7. The Payson Lions went 14-10, finishing 5th in Region 7. They went 6-8. But I would say if there's ever an advantage facing the number 1 team in the state, if you're Payson, there's a lot of other teams who might come into this one with their eyes wide open because they hadn't faced this team before. Mm-hmm. Payson knows them. They're familiar with this team. I mean, besides the fact they're familiar with them on the field, they probably know half of each other as well. Mm-hmm. And so Payson doesn't come in here scared, more than likely. They come in here knowing that they can match up with this team, and it should be a good battle for us.
Absolutely.
So leading off for the Payson Lions, it's going to be Briggs and Hauser in the leadoff spot. The shortstop batting second for Payson is Ty Marvin and playing left field in the 3-hole. Ruger Brathwaite will play third base. So we wait for the next pitch. Low beneath the zone, evens the count 1-1 in the cleanup spot. The designated hitter Cole Neves. Batting 5th for Payson, the pitcher Trevin Madsen. In the 6th hole, Boston Roseman will play first base. Batting 7th and playing second is Kyler Ewell. In the 8th hole, the catcher Tucker Bushnell. And the center fielder Yoshi Shagard. Batting 9th for Payson today as we see Briggs and Hauser ahead 2-1 in the count against Matai Johnson, a senior pitcher. Johnson comes into this one with a 2.02 ERA. He's 4-0. He's struck out 43 against 12 walks, so almost 4-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Very effective from Matai Johnson so far this year. So foul ball evens the count 2-2 for the game's first batter. Briggs and Hauser right on top of the plate in the right-handed batter's box. Popped out of play and into the stands. This is game 3 of 4 today. We've already seen Maple Mountain take down the Fremont Silverwolves, and then we saw Pleasant Grove, the 3 seed, take down West Jordan. So chalk in the first 2 games today. Maple Mountain will face Pleasant Grove tomorrow, and on the losers bracket, Fremont and West Jordan will face each other. 5A championship bracket, a 2-loss elimination, otherwise known as double elimination. Counts now 3-2. So good battle to start this game.
That was a great last pitch. Painted the inside corner, just didn't quite get the call.
Punches it out of play into the bullpen. The Payson Lions in the first base dugout here at UCCU ballpark. This is the 3rd game, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The tongues get tied a little bit more as time ticks away. And it's only going to get worse this week. And the payoff pitch misses outside. So a leadoff walk for Briggs and Hauser brings Ty Marvin to the plate with 1 on and nobody down.
Yeah, and I just think you can see a little bit of the kind of the pressure, not so much pressure, but just kind of the hype, coming into this game. You see that in some of the pitchers They just kind of overthrow in that first or second batter until they can find their rhythm, find the feel for the pitch. And I think that's just all we saw in that first at bat. It was a great battle. Great battle throwing multiple pitches, and we'll see if we can settle down a little bit here.
Ty Marvin, right-handed hitter, swings at strike one. And this is something that I think will be a common theme today. We've seen it in the first inning of the first two games where the lights do get a little bit brighter. You come down here, you're playing at UVU. It's a state championship. You're 1 week away from walking away with a trophy. So sometimes it takes an inning or two to start to settle in.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we've definitely seen it in our first two games. Just a little bit, jitters, just a little hyped up. I think it's great. I love all the athletes, and that it's universal. Everybody's feeling it, but that's the beauty of playoff atmosphere in baseball.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Marvin gets a piece, stays alive. He's hitting .337 this season. Senior left fielder. We mentioned Payson, 5th place in Region 7 this year. They went 6-8. And then after the regular season ends, they just squeak into the playoffs with that 9 seed as Ty Marvin strikes out swinging. But as a 9 seed, they come out, they sweep number 24 Hillcrest. And then they end up going the full 3-game series against Alta. As you said, Mike, they go extra innings in Game 3 and pull it out. It's a type of game that'll give a team confidence as you head into the final week of the year.
Yeah, they ended up scoring 6 runs, I believe, in the 6th inning to tie it. Alta put a run on the board in the top of the 7th. Payson answered with a run to tie it in the bottom, and then they were able to hold Alta in the top and score a run in the bottom. Now they're here playing Spanish Fork.
Ruger Brathwaite, strike one swinging. Right-handed heavy top of the lineup for Payson against left-handed Matai Johnson. Popped into shallow right field. Boston Duvall coming in. He makes the grab. So it's now 2 down here for Spanish Fork in the top of the first inning. Let's give you the defensive alignment for Spanish Fork. Left to right in the outfield, Pratt Morley, Nixon Warren, and Boston Duvall. Across the infield, Jason Pintar. We've got Nelson at short, Cody McLean at second, Sammy Dart at first, Trig Clower behind the plate, catching Matai Johnson. Pop near foul territory, going back and making the grab is the first baseman, Sammy Dart, in foul territory. So a good defensive play by the Dons ends the top half of the first inning with no damage done. A leadoff walk is stranded at first base. We'll go ahead and keep it here as we head to the bottom half of the frame. Give you the lineup for Spanish Fork. It'll be leading off the center fielder, Nixon Warren, followed by the first baseman in the 2-hole, Sammy Dart. Trig Cloward catching and batting third. He's hitting .395 this season, followed by left fielder Pratt Morley in the cleanup spot. In the 5-hole, the designated hitter Caden Lamson, followed by the third baseman Jason Pintar in the 6th spot. Batting 7th will be Cody McLean. Batting 8th is Boston Duvall. And rounding out the Spanish Fork lineup is sophomore shortstop Cohen Nelson. Spanish Fork obviously been very good this season. They went on a run. They entered the 5A playoffs last year as basically an afterthought, the number 20 seed. They advance. They knock off Maple Mountain in the semifinals, advance to the state championship round where they took on Brighton, and in a 3-game series, Spanish Fork prevails. The really impressive thing as I look at this Dons lineup is they're so young. Mm-hmm. They're starting 4 freshmen today, 4 juniors in the lineup, only 1 senior taking the field this afternoon. And so this is a Dons team already with 1 state title under their belt. You can't help but think they might be building towards something much bigger.
Yeah, we saw it last year in the sense that they were able to come in and make such a big push and then end up, winning the overall state championship. And that's just a product of the talent that's coming through Spanish Fork right now. Is that there's a lot of good players, a lot of good young players, and they're being developed by great coaches down there in the little league level and the youth levels, and then making it all the way up to the high school. It's exciting to see the level of baseball that's coming out of the Dons program right now.
And so that's my question. I mean, we talk about Region 7. You've got Spanish Fork, you've got Maple Mountain, and you've got Pleasant Grove as three of the top teams in the state. They're all so closely located. Like, is there some relation to, is the coaching different in Little League? Is there more of an emphasis down in Utah Valley? Like, what makes Region 7 so successful?
And those are tough questions to answer. It's something that, I've been asked quite a bit. And you got to look at, good talent, typically attracts good talent, and good coaching attracts even better talent where kids want to play for coaches that know how to coach, that know how to inspire and to help kids become better. And it just seems like there are these, these talent beds that seem to develop over different years. You look back in the mid 90s to early 2000s, that was your Taylorsville area back in the day where they were winning every other even year championship, and that their youth program at that time was huge. It was immense. They had hundreds of kids in their little league program, and they break out 3 all-star teams that would all compete and win lots of games as kids. And then that developed all the way up into these really good high school teams. And I think we're seeing a very similar trend down here in regards to Region 7. A lot of good talent, a lot of kids that are really invested in the game, a lot of adults, both on the volunteer side and on the coaching side, that are really invested in good baseball. And they really want to develop good baseball players and good baseball in Utah.
Well, I think that's one of the keys that it comes down to is if you get good coaches, you get people with knowledge of the game, you want to develop an interest at the younger ages with these kids. I think, baseball for a lot of years has kind of been missed with the younger ages as that ball lined into center field by Nixon Warren, the leadoff hitter. The catch is made by Yoshi Shawgard. So we'll give you the defensive alignment as we continue this conversation. But left to right in the outfield for Payson, it's Ty Marvin, Yoshi Shawgard, and Brooks Baum. On the infield, Ruger Brathwaite at third, Briggs and Hauser at short, Kyler Ewell at second, and Boston Roseman at first. Tucker Bushnell behind the plate, catching Trevor Madsen. Well, yeah, when you have good coaches, I think that makes a huge difference. But even more so than that, it's coaching in a way that teaches a love for the game. When you have kids first getting into it when they're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, if you have that tyrant coach, you can very easily push somebody away from the game. And I think we see the opposite happening down here in Utah County right now.
Yeah, and it's teaching them to love the game. It's teaching them to play the game the right way, and just teaching the kids that, and it's not so much teaching them like the game is life, as so much as it you can learn a lot about life through playing baseball. And you see a lot of quality humans that come out of these programs and all of the state that produces these really good kids and really good adults eventually, and that's what the game of baseball can be for the youth, is a way to learn life skills.
Bouncer to third. Up with it is Brathwaite. Strong throw. Retires Sammy Dart just in time, about a half step. Throw beats Dart, bringing Trig Cloward to the plate. Well, of course, when we're talking about Spanish Fork, I'd say winning always helps.
Yes.
Being able to come back as a 20 seed last year and get that title, you put it together. As we were talking between games 2 and 3, it was just, we were looking back at Spanish Fork's run last season, and it was just a case of, and they struggled in the regular season. They probably didn't live up to as good as a team as they were, and maybe were a little bit underseeded going into the playoffs. But the fact is, they were playing their best baseball at the end of the year. It all came together, and they won a title.
Exactly.
And now it can snowball as we get 3 up, 3 down. That ball's caught in right field by Brooks Baum. So that'll retire the side. We head to the second inning, still scoreless here between Payson and Spanish Fork. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Top of the second inning here at UCCU Ballpark, Game 3. The number 1 Spanish Fork Dons scoreless, and the number 9 Payson Lions scoreless as we head to the top half of the second inning. Only one base runner so far. That was a leadoff walk from Briggs and Hauser. He was stranded at first. Leading off here in the second, it's going to be the pitcher, Trevin Madsen. Madsen, a right-handed hitter, into the box. Takes strike one. Trevin Madsen hitting .282 this season. Wrapping up his junior year. There's strike two swinging. Matai Johnson on the bump. Ahead 0-2. Fouled out of play. Still 0-2. Spanish Fork with a couple of wins over Payson this year. On May 1st, they won 7-3. And then it was a 13-0 drubbing on May 5th. So Payson trying to get some payback here. And what better way than in the state championship?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you look back at the regular season. Yeah, you've taken 2 losses to this team, but now it's when it counts, right? So now's when you want to be able to come back and get that first win against them this year.
Madsen strikes out looking, so the second strikeout of the day for Matai Johnson. That brings Boston Roseman to the dish. This is something that I've started to notice, and maybe this is the old man yelling at clouds coming out in me, but pitchers wearing eye black. When did that become a thing?
I don't have an answer for that one. But I do like the fact that, we in the age where I feel like we've seen a lot more pitchers only or POs, there's a lot of these pitchers, especially in these last 3 games that we've been watching, right? I think every one of the pitchers is hit on both sides.
Yeah, I think Matai Johnson not being in the lineup is the first pitcher today who has not hit.
Yeah, and I look at it from the standpoint, and I deal a lot with the youth population, and I hear a lot of things like when I get a 13 and a 14-year-old kid that comes in and he says, "Oh, I love pitching. I'm just going to be a pitcher. I'm going to be a pitcher only, starting at 14 or even 15." I kind of look at him and I say, "It really isn't the greatest idea." And the reason I say that isn't so much I don't want them to pitch, is that they need to continue to develop as an athlete, and it's really hard to do if you're just pitching. It's a really hard thing to do if you're not getting the reps in and playing other positions. So pitching only, I get why people will do it at a certain ages where, maybe if that's your skill set, and maybe if you're to the point where if you look at your team, you've got somebody who's going to be better than you at another position. Maybe it kind of forces you to be a PO at that point. I'm fine with that. But choosing to be a PO when you could contribute to your team because of your athleticism, I'm not sure I agree with that.
And back-to-back strikeouts looking from Matai Johnson, bringing Kyler Ewell to the plate. And I think that's very similar to the argument about single-sport athletes. Mm-hmm. You've got the pitcher-only argument, and it's so important as a teenager, as a young kid growing up. You've mentioned developing that athleticism, and there's just different muscle groups that you're working playing different sports, playing different positions. When you step into the box and you're swinging a bat, it forces your eyes to do something a little bit different. It forces your body to work a little bit differently, and all of that works in symbiosis with the body, the kinetic chain. I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah, I always counsel with anybody who says, like, I just want to play one sport. As I said, it's really hard to get the amount of repetitions you need, athletic repetitions and movements that you need to become a very good athlete. Very good athletes are the athletes that make it far. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious in the research now. It's really heavily researched. So the best athletes are the ones that make it the farthest in regards to advancing into the next level of whatever sport you're playing. And so it's always encouraged. I said, you could say you're a baseball player, but you also can play basketball. It's really hard to say, I'm not going to play basketball, I'm just going to play baseball. And then think how many reps you would get of running, cutting, jumping, all of those additional movements, knowing the floor, seeing hand-eye coordination. It's really hard to replicate those amount of reps in a weight room or in a training room as if you would just go play the sport. And that's why I encourage everybody, and mainly because the research says so, and that's what all the good athletes really have done, is they developed a total athleticism first, and then they specialize.
When you look at professional sports today, you talk about it's the athletes that succeed. There's time for specialization in college, in the professional ranks. And right now, it's just a time to keep working. But Spanish Fork, Matai Johnson strikes out the side. Kyler Ewell is retired. We head to the bottom half of the second inning, still scoreless. At UCCU Ballpark, you're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. 2 leading off for Spanish Fork. It's Pratt Morley, the left fielder. Morley takes strike 1 from Trevin Madsen. We come back from the break. Both pitchers looking good early in this one. Matai Johnson struck out the side in the second inning. Trevin Madsen set down Spanish Fork 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the first. And we've already mentioned it. These two programs very familiar with each other. 2 of the 4 teams coming out of Region 7 this season. It's also got number 2 seed Maple Mountain and the number 3 seed Pleasant Grove Vikings. Those Vikings, incidentally enough, come in as the 3 seed, and they won Region 7. It just shows you how razor thin those margins are.
Yeah.
Morley fouls the ball out of play, counts 0-2. This game already a little bit different than the first 2 we've had today. We did have a run on the scoreboard after 1 inning in games 1 and 2. The first team to score ended up winning both games. As Morley strikes out swinging, tried to check his swing. That brings Caden Lamson to the dish, the designated hitter.
Yeah, a little bit of a change in pace from the first 2 games where we saw immediate base runners in those first 2 innings. And this game, the pitchers seem to have settled in a little bit faster than the other ones.
Trevin Madsen doing a great job staying in the strike zone. He's already got these Spanish Fork Dawn hitters on alert. They know that they're going to have to protect. How does that change your mindset as a hitter? You watch a pitcher get through several batters and you know he's just pounding the strike zone. And you probably have an aggressive mindset anyway, but does it change the way you're thinking when you step into the box?
No, I think realistically with hitting with hitters is that you have an approach, you have an idea of what you want to do when you come to the plate, and you want to go with your game plan. And if you're seeing a pitcher throw a lot of strikes, a lot of times that works into your game plan, and that is that you want to go out and you want to hit maybe that first strike or second strike because those are the best pitches typically to hit. Now, if you're a pitcher, you want to execute on those 2 pitches and make them not easy to hit. That's where you're putting it on the corner, making it move a little bit, maybe changing eye level so they're just not going to find the barrel. And that's your job as a pitcher, to be aggressive, because most of these hitters are going to be fairly aggressive at the plate. And so if you can execute your pitch with your whatever that strength is of yours, you're more than likely going to win as a pitcher. But as a hitter, you've got to be ready. And if you're not ready, then you're going to end up behind and typically out.
Lamson draws the 1-out walk. It's the first base runner allowed by Trevin Madsen. So if you were facing a pitcher who was in the zone, were you typically more likely to put a good swing on that first pitch that you see in the at-bat?
Yeah, I would typically try to jump all over that first pitch. And it's one of those, it's cat and mouse game. That's just pitching and hitting. And that is most pitchers will understand, they understand certain tendencies. And with these 2 teams, as many times as they played each other, this being the 3rd time and knowing each other a little bit, that's where the scouting reports and the coaching comes into it. And they just know, like, okay, this he's a guy who's going to come out, he's going to try to hit a fastball the first time he sees one. He may not see a fastball for 3 straight pitches, and then as the hitter, you just got to understand that they're just not going to probably give you those. And then you have to then be very specific on which one you go after. But yeah, typically I'm usually going out thinking I'm going to try and hit the first or second strike that's thrown and try to put a good barrel on it.
1-1 count for Jason Pintar, the sophomore 3rd baseman out of Spanish Fork. Throw down to first, back in safely is Caden Lamson. If you recognize that name, Pintar, Andrew Pintar, former BYU Cougar, played for the Spanish Fork Dons, is now a AAA farmhand with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. So 1 step away from the big leagues. Prep baseball and just the skill level of players in this state always astounds me. as I start getting late in the high school season. I start scouting and watching these guys a little bit more, and then you see how many prep players in the Beehive State actually advance to the collegiate level. It's a massive number.
Yeah, it's a bigger number than a lot of people think. A lot of people think that they may have a negative view on how much talent Utah can put into the collegiate ranks or even to the professional ranks. It's one of the things that I firsthand get to see it.
So we're going to have a meeting at the mound here after back-to-back walks. Sorry not to cut you off, Mike, but we had Trevin Madsen cruising. He'd retired 4 in a row, now back-to-back walks. And for Spanish Fork, you really can't afford to fall behind. This is such a powerful team. The last time they met, it was a 13-0 Dons win. And so we'll have this meeting, and this is head coach Riley Daniels coming out, and I would assume it's something that we've talked about before, Mike, just trying to slow this game down.
Yeah, it's just essentially like maybe this game's speeding up for his pitcher here. Maybe he's, trying to press too hard. Maybe the coach sees something. And sometimes you just got to call a timeout and just refocus everybody. And good coaches get a feel for it. It's not just like, situations, 1 out, first and second. It's a feel. If they're in the dugout and they feel like, okay, we can feel our team's a little bit on edge, a little bit maybe discouraged or not doing quite, being as sharp as they want them to be, they'll come out and talk to them. And it's usually just something. Most coaches in these meetings aren't getting after each other. They're quite literally just saying, hey, boys, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. We know what we're doing. Everybody knows their job. Everybody take a deep breath. Let's go get this job done. 1
ground ball, this inning's over. Just execute, get it done. Here's the pitch to Cody McLean, hitting .351 this season. McLean takes ball 1. Jason Pintar down at first, and McLean, both sophomores in the lineup, 2 of the 4. That ball gets past the catcher all the way to the backstop. Both runners will advance on the play. So Spanish Fork now with 2 in scoring position and 1 down here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And that drastically changes the scenario here if you're Payson. Double play no longer in order. You've got 2 in scoring position. This is where you need Trevin Madsen to execute his pitches.
Yeah, and you see Payson immediately here trying to get the out at home, bringing the infield in.
Now, Payson knows what's on the line right here. They know how difficult this Payson lineup can be, and they know how difficult the Spanish Fork lineup can be. And then on the other side, equally, they know that it's such a strong pitching staff with Matai Johnson making the start that you can't afford to fall behind by very much. So that pitch misses high. Counts now 3-1 for Cody McLean. First base is open. If McLean reaches, Boston Duvall will hit.
And it's not ideal to load the bases, but again, now you gotta force out with this walk here. Now you've got to force at any base. Play at home becomes a lot more simple. I definitely wouldn't say easy, but simple. This is going to allow your infielders to play back a little bit, maybe go after the double play now and get out of this inning again. So again, not the worst thing, not the best thing in the world, but loading the bases here gives you a force out and more opportunities to get multiple outs at one time.
Here's Duvall. Takes strike 1, and as you said, Mike, Payson up the middle, playing double play depth on the corners. They're going to play in, trying to take away any play at the plate. So strike 1, even in the count 1-1. Back-to-back-to-back walks issued by Madsen. Bases loaded with 1 down. Boston Duvall can't catch up to that heater. Duvall hitting .338 this season. Baltimore chop, back to the pitcher. Fields it. The throw is high, but they retire the runner. So Duvall is out. Spanish Fork scores. They lead 1-0. Duvall will be retired on the fielder's choice. That's Lamson coming home to score. And here's the 9-hole hitter, Cohen Nelson.
Not the prettiest way to get the run across, but I don't think anybody would care as long as the run does cross. And if you're Payson, you look at the situation, bases loaded, one out. You've only given up one run thus far. So far, as long as you can get another out here, you seem to probably be okay with it.
Yeah, Payson, if you can get out of this inning only giving up one run, I think you're going to feel pretty good considering. But on the other side, if Cohen Nelson can reach and you get to the top of the Spanish Fork lineup, things can start to snowball quickly.
Yeah, and this is typically where you see a lot of coaches will come out and say, hey, this is your hitter. They'll point right at him. He says, you challenge him, make him beat you rather than that top of the lineup.
Another pitch misses outside, gets by the catcher. That'll allow a run to score. So 2 wild pitches in the inning. Jason Pintar scores. Cody McLean advances to third base on the play. Spanish Fork takes a 2-0 lead. 2 runs courtesy of 3 walks in the inning. Spanish Fork still looking for their first hit today. Here's the 3-1. Check swing roller to first. Up with it is Boston Roseman. He'll step on the bag. That'll retire the side. But Spanish Fork takes advantage of 3 free passes in the inning. They scored 2. We go to the 3rd inning with the Dons leading 3-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Tab Bank, home of the Tab Spend Rewards checking account with 2.75% annual percentage yield on your account balances and 1% cash back on all eligible purchases. Tab responsibly. Visit tabbank.com to learn more. Remember, Tab Bank is a member FDIC. Back here, heading to the 3rd inning where the Payson Lions still trying to get on the scoreboard. They're looking for their first hit against Matai Johnson. Leading off will be the 8-hole hitter, the catcher, Tucker Bushnell, followed by Yoshi Shawgard, and the top of the order, Briggs and Hauser. Spanish Fork took advantage of 3 walks in the bottom half of the 2nd inning, and as a coaching staff, you really can't ask for a lot more. You'd love to be able to put a ball in play and work with a couple of base hits, but when your opponent can't throw strikes, it's best let them just to throw some balls.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you take them as you can get them. You would love to earn them, but at the same time, if they're going to give them to you, you just got to give them to, take them. And the key is you take advantage. If you look at the situation that Spanish Fork was just in, they did get 2 runs, which is good. Have an opportunity for more. So you look down later in the game, Payson makes a run. They may look back and be like, we didn't take advantage fully as we could have.
Strike 3. So Tucker Bushnell's retired looking as the 9-hole hitter Yoshi Shawgard.
It's great pitch on the inside corner there. Just absolutely froze the hitter. Those are the ones as a pitcher, as you throw it, you have full confidence in that pitch. It just comes in too hot, catches the batter a little bit off guard, and there's nothing you can do. His ball's already by him by the time he even decides to swing.
Johnson in a groove right now. He's retired 7 straight, 5 by the strikeout. Had a lot of strikeouts today. In the previous game, Pleasant Grove's Ryder Huntsman struck out 15, went 6 perfect innings before getting pulled. It's been a pitcher-dominated afternoon, I would say. So there's another strike. Yoshi swings through that one. Counts 0-2. Shawgard looks at strike 3. Another backwards K for Johnson. He's struck out 5 in a row. Top of the lineup, here's Briggs and Hauser.
Yeah, last strikeout was inside, just painted right on the inside corner. This one was up and a little bit away, just painted at the top corner of the box. And Matei is finding all the holes in the strike zone for these Payson hitters.
Johnson comes set. Here's the pitch. Swinging at the first one as Hauser pops it up on the infield. The second baseman underneath it. Ewell makes the grab. That'll retire the side. Sorry, that's Cody McLean making the grab, retires the side. We head to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Spanish Fork leading 2-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com.
To you.
While we all love spending time supporting our high school teams, Waddup's Insurance Agency is the team that will support and help protect you. Whether it's your business, home, rental properties, cars, or recreational vehicles, Waddup's Insurance Agency is the local insurance pro you can count on. Call or text us at 801-683-3663. That's 801-683-3663 to evaluate your insurance program today. Go to the bottom of the third inning here in Game 3 of the 5A High School Baseball Championship bracket at UCCU Ballpark. The Payson Lions trailing the number 1 seeded Spanish Fork Dons, the defending 5A state champions, 2-0 after Spanish Fork takes advantage of a couple of walks and a couple of wild pitches. Leading off here in the third, it's the top of the lineup, Nixon Warren, followed by Sammy Dart and Trig Cloward. We'll see if Trevin Madsen's still on the mound, the right-handed junior, if he's able to regather himself after a tough second inning. Shut down this difficult Dons lineup. Warren takes strike 1.
Yeah, if you're Payson pitcher here, you've got to get ahead of these hitters. That's the only way you're going to be able to battle back. Last inning, he kept falling behind and then feeling like he had to make perfect pitches. And that when you feel like you have to make a perfect pitch as a pitcher, it typically doesn't come out perfect. And so if you're just able to stay loose and stay ahead, that's typically where you're going to be successful.
Off speed. Warren gets the head of the bat out on it. Coming in and making the sliding grab is Ty Marvin. Good read from Marvin off the bat. That ball looked like it was hit pretty hard, but I believe it was more out towards the end of the bat. So it checks up in the air, and Marvin comes in and makes the catch to retire Nixon Warren. Here's Sammy Dart. On a sunnier day, that might have been a difficult play. With all this cloud cover, it makes it easier for Ty Marvin. And Dart goes the other way. That's going to be a base hit, the first hit of the day for either team. Sammy Dart reaches with a 1-out single. Here's Trig Cloward batting .395. Cloward, a big mashing right-handed hitting catcher, .395. He's got 6 doubles, 4 home runs, a little bit of speed in there too. He's got a triple this year, and he's driven in 25. Swings at the first pitch. That'll be extra bases. Down the right field line, it bounces to the wall. Cloward pulls up into second. Warren gets the go sign. He's going to score. The ball gets away. So Cloward safely at third base. Sammy Dart comes around to score all the way from first. And Spanish Fork leads 3-0. Trig Cloward saw that pitch on the outside edge and went with it.
Yeah, it's just great hitting. It's just great hitting. You look at guys, they'll think it'd be really aggressive, and they almost kind of try to hump up and pull something. Trig did not do that. He saw the pitch away, simply just kind of pushed his hands out to the outside corner, got the barrel to it, and drove it right down the right field line, one hopping the wall. Little misplay on the relay back in, allowing Trig to get to third.
Speed up runner down at third base, taking over for Cloward. That's Tyler Orton. Now, number 14, middle infielder, senior Tyler Orton. That was an interesting point that you made before the game to me. We talked about how many underclassmen are playing for the Spanish Fork team and contributing day in and day out. Sometimes that can make it a little bit more difficult for some of the seniors who get buried on the roster a bit. And so you see Orton coming in, able to get an opportunity as a speed-up runner as that ball pulled down the left field line and foul. But that can have an effect sometimes on team chemistry if you don't have the right type of players in the clubhouse.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing if you come into these programs that are successful, and if you're a senior and there's a sophomore or junior, or even maybe a freshman that may be
Morley strikes out looking.
Yeah, the Morley might be outperforming you. That it's difficult as a senior to be able to take a backseat to them, knowing that that's for the best of the team. It's probably better if they play. and then just know your role on the team and try to contribute in any way you can.
So here's Caden Lamson hitting 294. Can't catch up to the first pitch fastball. Lamson's driven in 2 this year, has an RBI chance with Cloward or the speed up runner.
Ooh.
And hit by a pitch is Caden Lamson. Like the off-speed pitch just got away from Trevin Madsen. Lamson wears it, heads down to first base, so runners at the corners now for Spanish Fork.
I'm a little impressed with how high that ball went. Hitting just right off the very front top of his helmet. It nearly cleared the backstop net and almost fell into the bleachers back here.
I paused my call for a moment because I thought it was going to get over the netting.
Yeah, and then runners totally fine. No problems with any type of hit to the head there. But
that was a looping curveball.
Yeah.
Here's Jason Pintar. Like a little in-between swing from Pintar. Strike 1.
Yeah, you see the approach by the Dons hitters here. They are out to hit that first pitch. Pintar here just not quite sure. I think he's looking fastball, saw something off speed, decided he didn't want to go for it, but he's already committed.
Runner takes off from first. The throw goes down to second base. Looked like Spanish Fork tried to have the same play on that we saw Pleasant Grove run to get their first run earlier today, but not enough time. So the stolen base at second, now runners at second and third.
Yeah, again, I think it's a great idea. Put your runners in motion. You've got a first and third situation. See if you can just put a little pressure on Payson and make him make a play. And Payson did. They threw down, didn't quite get the runner, but were able to field it cleanly. And now we're looking at second and third with 2 outs.
Here's the 2-1. Misses outside. Now 3-1 on the Dons sophomore third baseman. Here's the pitch. Hot shot to first. Good play. Boston Roseman steps on the bag. That'll retire the side. Spanish Fork able to add 1 run. They lead 3-0 after 3 innings of play. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Are you ready to unlock your full athletic potential? At Athletic Potential, we specialize in helping baseball and softball athletes conquer pain, recover faster, and achieve peak performance. Whether you're a professional, collegiate, competitive, or recreational athlete, our tailored approach ensures you are stronger, faster, and more resilient. From personalized physical therapy to sport-specific performance training, we guide you every step of the way. Plus, with remote coaching options, expert support is always within reach. Don't let injuries hold you back. Visit athletic-potential.com to schedule your consultation today and take the first step towards your best performance yet. Mike, I didn't see the phrase weekend warriors in there. So am I not allowed?
Oh, you're allowed. It's all athletes, really. It's just more the nature of the practice of my experience in baseball and with softball. That's just predominantly who I've been taking care of for the past 4 years over at Athletic Potential. But yeah, all athletes are welcome. So when you go to do your weekend long pickleball tournaments, you come back in when everything hurts on Monday.
Well, I think you already threw the qualifier in that disqualifies me, and that's athletes being welcome. I no longer reach that designation. So the first pitch is fouled out of play. This is Ty Marvin leading off here in the third inning. The Payson Lions fell behind 3-0. They gave up 2 runs to Spanish Fork in the second inning, 2 wild pitches and 3 walks. Did the damage there, and then Spanish Fork comes back. They get another run in the third for this 3-0 lead. Matai Johnson on the mound has been dynamite so far. He's retired the last 8 batters he's faced. There's the 1-1. Popped out of play.
Yeah, if you're Payson here, we've got to start putting balls in play. Again, we talked about the teams that are probably going to win, the teams that put a ball in play that are hit hard and then take care of the basics, right? Play a clean game. And we're seeing it played out a little bit here with Payson not being able to capitalize on in regards to throwing strikes and wild pitches. And they just haven't really been able to put a good hard ball in play yet. And that's a tribute to Matai out here pitching a gem so far. And so Payson's got to change an approach maybe a little bit, just do something a little bit different and see if they can't get something going for themselves.
Here's the 1-2, misses outside. Evens the count, 2 apiece. Marvin comes into this game hitting .337. He struck out swinging in his first at-bat today. After Marvin, Ruger Brathwaite and Cole Neves will hit. Matai Johnson didn't look quite as dominant in the first inning, but he's really looked sharp in the second and third and here into the fourth, and he's been efficient with his pitches as well, as that one's popped into right field. Underneath it is Duvall. He'll make the catch. 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, and these two teams didn't have the pleasure of having to deal with the howling winds straight out to center that were swirling. For those that have been watching all day, we've been talking about the wind and how nasty it was in those first 2 games. I've seen just an occasional swirl into the flag, but for the most part, the flags have been pretty quiet for this last game.
Yeah, the wind has completely changed from those first 2 games, and I mean we saw defenses having some trouble with deep fly balls, but any pop-up on the infield that went above the roof here, and just being a single-level stadium, it doesn't take that much to go above the roof, and it was pushing the ball all over the place out there.
Yeah, there's some very grateful players in the first 2 games for hits that were normally outs because of the wind, and but that's the nature of the game. The game is you play in the conditions you have, and as a player, you've got to just keep playing the game as hard as you can, and those good things will happen for those players that work hard.
Ruger Brathwaite fouls the pitch out of play. Brathwaite hitting .434 this season. He's got 6 doubles for the senior right-handed hitting third baseman. This Payson team was shut out by Spanish Fork the last time they faced each other. Fly ball center field. Nixon Warren is there to make the play.
That was a pretty good swing there. Just got maybe a little bit in on his hands. And that's what you got to see. If you're Payson, you got to look at this from the standpoint of a lot of times you look up and you see, what's been going on and getting outs and those type of things. And you got to start looking at it from the standpoint of are we having good at bats? Are we starting to put more bat on ball? And are those hits a little bit harder each time? Are we getting closer to it? Because it's a 3-0 game, and we already know this. In a 3-0 game, it can turn around in a heartbeat. So as Payson, you just got to keep going up there and trying to get on base, have good ABs, and good things will happen.
Johnson misses outside, counts 1-1 on Cole Neves, the designated hitter. Neves hitting .333. See if he can get a 2-out rally started. Takes outside, 2-1. So we're going to be here all week. 5A tournament from now until Thursday, and then on Friday, going to have the 5A and 6A championship series here at UCCU Ballpark. Ball lifted out to right field and deep, going back and making the catch right in front of the fence. Boston Duvall makes it look easy. Spanish Fork leads Payson 3-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Back here at UCCU Ballpark where the Spanish Fork Dons, the number 1 seed in the 5A tournament, lead the number 9 Payson Lions 3-0. We're heading into this bottom half of the 4th inning. Halfway through this scheduled 7-rounder. Feels weird to say that. I never get used to the 7 innings of high school ball. Leading off is Cody McLean. McLean takes strike 1. A pitch misses outside. That's the same pitch from Trevin Madsen that got away and allowed base runners to advance a couple of times. He's got to find a way to command that outside edge of the plate a little bit better.
Well, as a pitcher that's thrown, he's thrown inside a couple of times, and especially with that pitch, I believe, and he's already hit one or two. I don't recall, but for sure one. And when you hit a batter like that as a pitcher, it kind of gets in your head when you try to throw, thinking I have to throw out inside again with that pitch, and then you go outside and you kind of press it, and that's when you miss by an additional 3 to 4 inches, and then breaks away from your catcher. That's a tough thing to kind of get over, and it's a hard thing to go back to just trusting the fact that it's going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times at the high school level, execution is as important as just trusting yourself, just trusting what you've been told, what you know to be right and true, and just following through on it. I had an opportunity earlier this week to sit down and had an excellent 25-minute conversation with former Angels top prospect Caden Dana with the Salt Lake Bees right now. And that was one thing that he's talked about. He got drafted out of high school out of Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey. And he said one of the biggest changes for him in his professional career has been as strike three looking McLean strikes out for the first out of the inning. But for Dana, he talked about how important it is for him. He knows what the game plan is, and he needs to understand in his own head when he's on the mound, if the catcher calls a pitch and he doesn't feel comfortable with it, he needs to shake him off. Mm-hmm. And that was a big turning point for him late last season, and when he had given up a few home runs against the Astros. And then he said something clicked, and he just started trusting. And if his catcher, Logan Ohapi, called for a pitch that he didn't feel like was right, he shook him off. And even now, months later, I asked him about shaking off your veteran catcher. He said it still feels wrong. But as a pitcher, you need to be able to do it. It's so important. The 2-0 pitch misses high.
Yeah, it's definitely is absolutely something to be said. If you are not committed to throwing a pitch as a pitcher, the chances of that pitch being successful are just not as good. And so you can hope and throw it over there, and occasionally you'll get away with it. But I'm pretty sure some of the longest home runs I ever gave up in my career were on pitches that I was like, maybe I should throw this here,
That conviction's important. As Boston Duvall draws the one-out walk. So what does it take as a pitcher to learn and develop that trust? I mean, obviously not everybody gets there. But like, what's the mental process to go through and reach that point?
Well, there's times where you just got to put enough reps in as a pitcher to trust all the pitches that you throw, and then know that if you spend enough time on a team with a catcher, with a coach, and they'll come to understand what your strengths are and understand that that, hey, I know this guy is going to want to throw this pitch. And it's always fun as a pitcher. You're out on the mound, and say you get 1-2, 0-2 on a batter, and in your head, you're thinking of a specific pitch you want to throw. Catcher throws down the exact pitch you're thinking. Those are the times where you're like, yeah, we're all on the same page. We all get it. And those are the times where you're like, oh yeah, this is the right call. And those are the times you have that full conviction. And usually those are the pitches that get outs.
Boston Duvall down at first base. He's got 9 stolen bases. Cohen Nelson at the plate, the 9-hole hitter for Spanish Fork.
That last pitch just missed inside, but it's one of those as a pitcher you can look at and be like, oh, I missed inside. Maybe I was a little too close to hitting him, but that's a great pitch because right now that batter has been seeing outside, and now he's going to be able to have to change his mind or his eye set to see if he can get back to it.
Well, that's exactly what you said. Madsen went back to the outside corner, and Cohen Nelson lifts it, flies out to right field. Brooks Baum was positioned perfectly. Now 2 down in the inning. Top of the lineup, Nixon Warren coming to the plate.
And we've got a unique advantage of looking up or looking down on home plate from where we're sitting. That pitch right there would have been a just dribbler out had it been about 2 more inches outside. That was middle third, like middle to outer third, and that's why he was able to get a barrel to it and hit it to the outfield. But if that pitch is just a little further outside, that ball is just pounded straight into the ground, and probably for a double play to your second baseman or your first baseman. Still a great pitch.
Good stop by the catcher. Tucker Bushnell backhands it. Counts 1-0 now on Nixon Warren. He's looking for his first hit. Flew out to center field in the first inning and flew out to left field in the third. Runner takes off. Good throw down to second base. And somehow the ball was there well in time. But Boston Duval slides in safely, gets through the tag. Payson's manager, Riley Daniels, not happy about that call, would like an explanation from the second base umpire. I mean, it was clear on the throw, the ball beat him. But sometimes we've seen in baseball, especially in recent years, if the tag is not applied correctly or effectively, of course, this isn't one that's impacted by replay, but Riley Daniels not happy about the safe call at second base.
Yeah, that ball beat him by at least a full step. And sometimes, like you just said, it's a great opportunity. It's actually easier as a runner as you're sliding in to already know where the ball is and the glove is, because then you can make a move on that tag. And that's exactly what it looked like happened. Was he lifted his foot as the tag came down over the tag and got his foot to the base. Umpire saw safe. So we're playing on as if he's safe.
Pitch misses high. So 2-1 count now for Nixon Warren. Runner in scoring position. That's Boston Duval down there. The stolen base. He's now in double figures this season with 10. Timeout called by Warren at the plate. Nixon began the day hitting .420 this season. Listen to some of these numbers, Mike. Hitting .420. He's got 11 doubles, 4 triples, 3 home runs. He's driven in 32. That's a productive leadoff hitter.
Yeah. I mean, you think how many guys got on base in front of him to be able to drive that many runs in? You got to say thank you to the bottom half of your lineup if you are him. It just means that you could put him in any position in the lineup here, and he's going to be a productive player.
3-1 count on Warren. Flied foul territory down the right field line. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to get there. It drops in the bullpen.
Interesting how far the right fielder was playing into right center. I mean, I'm not sure he makes a play on that if it's fair, or not even if it's fair, but if it's just within territory to catch. I mean, I know it landed in the middle of the bullpen, but he wasn't even close to the foul line when it landed. Yeah, they're definitely shaded more towards right center field for Nixon Warren. So 3-2 count. We'll have a payoff pitch. 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Got it.
And Warren gets hit in the back. That one doesn't feel good. The fastball right between the shoulder blades. Brings Sammy Dart to the plate. And again, as we've talked about, that puts the force out in play, so not altogether the worst thing that could happen if you're Payson.
No, and his wild pitches earlier in the game, they came on outside pitches to right-handed hitter. We got a left-handed hitter now. Sometimes as a pitcher, you can change just having a batter in a different box will change your eyes enough that it'll, essentially make you kind of shift the way your ball release is so that you start throwing a little bit more over the plate. Be able to locate a little bit further on your arm side in regard if you're right-handed. So we just saw that first pitch strike was exactly where he wanted it. And now his second pitch right here on the foul ball, that was on the outer third. So he's now be able to come back and locate 2 good pitches right here to Dart.
Is that kind of like a forced reset as a pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept to think of how our eyes work. So a lot of times when you look at your target, as we got an 0-2 pitch here coming to Dart, got him.
Dart strikes out swinging. So go ahead and hang on to that thought, Mike. We can get back to it in the next inning. So that'll end the top half of the 4th inning. Spanish Fork dominating in this one. They lead 3-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Tab Bank, home of the Tab Spend Rewards checking account with 2.75% annual percentage yield on your account balances and 1% cash back on all eligible purchases. Tab responsibly. Visit tabbank.com to learn more. Member FDIC. Back here at UCCU Ballpark where the 9-seed Payson Lions trying to battle back as we head to the 5th against the top-seeded Spanish Fork Dons. Spanish Fork scored 2 in the 2nd, added 1 more in the 3rd. They hold a commanding 3-0 lead. We enter the top half of the fifth. Matai Johnson on the mound for Spanish Fork. Johnson's looked good. After walking the first batter he faced, he's retired 12 straight.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a pitcher a full inning, sometimes just one batter. In Matai's case, it sounded like he just needed one batter to kind of settle things down, and since then he's been dialed in.
Now, the Payson starting pitcher is counterpoint Trevin Madsen at the plate. Madsen began the day hitting .282, quickly behind 0-2 against Johnson. Matai misses outside. I'm about to commit a terrible broadcasting mistake, and I know it going in. As ball lifted out to right field underneath it, making the catch is Boston Duvall. But these first three games today have been moving very quickly, like almost blink and you're into the fourth or fifth inning.
Yep.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, we had first game end just a little bit early in regards to the mercy rule, and then we also had a very quick game last game with the pitching performance on Pleasant Grove's side, where he's just mowing down hitters. That makes for fast games, and we're seeing a very similar trend here in this game.
Yeah, these pitching battles end up moving quickly, and when you're only going 7 innings in the high school ranks, it gets late early. Here's the 1-0. Strike one. So Boston Roseman. Roseman struck out looking in the second. Takes the off-speed pitch for a strike on the inside corner. Counts 1-2. Fouled back to the screen. Roseman had that timed up pretty good.
Yeah, it was a great, challenge. 1-2 pitch. Basically, let's see if you can beat me kind of thing from Matai. And he was nearly up to the task, fouling that straight back.
And Matai Johnson hits Roseman. So that's the first base runner allowed for Matai Johnson since the leadoff batter. Roseman heads down to first. Kyler Ewell will bat. I think Johnson very briefly tried to argue that Roseman didn't attempt to get out of the way of that pitch, but there's not much he was going to be able to do on that one.
No, that one was pretty far into the batter's box there. So if you're Payson here, this is where you've got to think, you got to capitalize a little bit. It's fifth inning. Got to get a runner over. Even one run here just puts a little bit more pressure back on the Dons.
Strike catches the outside corner. The sun starting to peek out from behind the clouds here late in the afternoon in Utah County. Popped up behind second base, shallow center field. Making the call is Nixon Warren coming in, and that's really good communication. Yep. You see the shortstop and second baseman Cohen Nelson and Cody McLean going back, and then they both scattered at the same time when Nixon Warren makes that call. And that's the type of play, if your outfielder can get to it, you always let them get it because they just have a better angle on it.
Yeah, you see it all the time when it's done wrong, right? When that ball drops between three guys, and that's when three guys don't communicate very well. I think we just saw a great example of what it looks like when it's done right. Second baseman initially called it. Shortstop called him off. He bailed, and the center fielder had enough time to come get it, so the shortstop bailed. That's exactly what should happen in regards to those type of pop flies. And preps to the Dons and those players and their coaches for teaching that. That is not something that you just pick up. That is something that's practiced and heavily repetition in practice to make sure that in games like this, you don't make that kind of mistake.
And it's not a given that you're going to see that type of communication executed properly even at the major league level. I was watching a Cubs-White Sox game yesterday. White Sox shortstop, similar play, shallow left center field. Colson Montgomery is going back, and you see him wildly wave his hands in the air saying that he's going to make the play. And a young outfielder, the center fielder almost ran him open, and you saw Montgomery upset. Say, I waved my hands. Well, you obviously didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Your outfielder is not looking at you. He's tracking the ball.
Yep.
And so there's got to be that communication. It's great to be demonstrative with your body, but you got to speak. You got to be talking.
Yep. Those are basics, and it's interesting. And these are professionals. They've been doing it their whole life. They're adults, right?
Yeah.
They've been at this for a really long time, and yet they still slip up on it. And so we talk. We run practices all the time, and a lot of times our athletes are like, "Why are we still doing this?" And I'm like, "Because look, in the game you just described, it still happened. We need to practice this all the time, so that in big time situations like this, that the mistakes aren't made."
As Tucker Bushnell strikes out swinging, so Matai Johnson threw 5 shutout innings. We go to the bottom half of the 5th. Spanish Fork leads Payson 3-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com.
The assist.
While we all love spending time supporting our high school teams, Wadup's Insurance Agency is the team that will support and help protect you. Whether it's your business, home, rental properties, cars, or recreational vehicles, Wadup's Insurance Agency is the local insurance pro that you can count on. Call or text us at 801-683-3663. That's 801-683-3663 to evaluate your insurance program today. Here at the campus of Utah Valley University, the home ballpark of the Utah Valley Wolverines of the Big West Conference. The Payson Lions struggling to keep up with the top-seeded Spanish Fork Dons, 5A defending champion Dons, showing why they are the juggernaut who ran through the 5A bracket as a 20 seed. We've got a new pitcher on the mound for Payson. So that's going to be Cole Neves taking over for the Payson Lions as they trail 3-0. We head to the bottom half of the 5th inning. So Cole Neves got the start as the designated hitter. Now he comes in on the mound taking over for Trevin Madsen. Neves, the right-handed starter, he will face 3-4-5 to up for Spanish Fork. Trig Cloward, followed by Pratt Morley and Caden Lamson. Always important to keep an eye on pitchers between innings as we get going here in this week, because pitch counts are so important as teams advance. You get into games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You want to make sure and have as fresh of a bullpen as you possibly can. If you're Spanish Fork, you might start eyeballing, if we've got a lead, do we pull a starting pitcher so that we can have them available later in the week? It's one of the most difficult parts, I would say, for coaches navigating their way through these week-long postseason tournaments.
Yeah, in regards to what makes it easy in regards to do that, a lot of people would say experience. I would first tell you depth. The more good pitching you have, obviously that just makes it a lot easier. If you've got 2, 3, 4 guys that you can go to in key situations, depth is kind of the thing that's going to help you the most. But if you have depth and experience, as a coaching staff and understanding how to manage that, we saw a little bit in Pleasant Grove last game, with Huntsman throwing 6 perfect innings, and then he was pulled. And then, another pitcher was put in the 7th. And we talked about how the mindset as that ball's laced down left field line, has the distance, but it is foul.
That's the first one we've seen get over the wall. Yeah, that's just out in front. So Trig Cloward comes back, but continue.
Yeah, no, we saw Pleasant Grove, and it's a great testament of Pleasant Grove's mentality right now, is they've got a pitcher who's thrown 6 perfect innings. He's mowing hitters down, striking out nearly every hitter, and they pull him because their mindset, I imagine, is that they want to win a state championship.
That's exactly it. What's the ultimate goal? A perfect game is a lot of fun, but really nobody's going to talk about that one. But 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're still going to be talking about a state title.
Yep.
As Cloward draws the leadoff walk. So a leadoff base runner aboard for Pratt Morley, hitting .368 this season. Going to have a speed-up runner taking over for Cloward. It's number 14 coming in. So again, Tyler Orton, the middle infielder. A senior gets a chance to enter this game and run for Cloward. Nobody down. First pitch swinging, fouls it into the seats. Tyler Orton, a definite speed threat on the bases. He's got 9 bags this year. So we'll see with nobody down here in the inning, Spanish Fork, if they want to try and manufacture some insurance runs here in the inning. Neves comes set. Check to first, back in safely is the runner.
A lot of times fans will get kind of upset when pitchers are trying to pick over, and obviously in the major league level, there's a limited amount now and in college as well. But the idea is a lot of times you pick over 2, maybe even 3 times in a row, because what you're not necessarily trying to get them out. You're actually trying to get them to tip what they were thinking or what they're thinking about doing, right? So if you're a pitcher and they call a pick over and you pick over and you see the first step from that runner is a step towards the base, second base, then you're thinking, okay, they're looking at maybe stealing in the situation. And a lot of times that'll change the mentality of the offensive coaching, because then they got to decide whether they're going to actually steal or not now that they've tipped their hand.
Fly ball to right field. Brooks Baum ranges back and makes the grab. So Pratt Morley is retired. That brings Caden Lamson to the plate. Lamson hitting .294 this season. We'll keep an eye on Tyler Orton down there at first base. It wouldn't be a surprise to see him moving early in this at-bat. Well, that's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about that you're throwing over to first to try and get a read off of what that base runner is trying to do. There goes Orton. It was a hit and run in order. The throw goes into center field off a strike swinging. But Orton's going to be safe. So that's his 10th stolen base this season. Runner in scoring position for Caden Lamson.
And we saw it before the fly out. They picked over, and his first step was towards second. They were planning on running him. You can kind of almost tell he got a great jump. He had one step before that pitcher had even broke set to go home.
It's another swinging strike. The speed on the base paths can be such a difference maker when you have 2 evenly matched teams, but one that likes to get runners in motion. I mean, it makes such a huge difference, can be a real separator. Here's the 0-2. As Caden Lamson just gets a piece to stay alive. That was more of a protective swing than anything.
I like it when hitters do that, when they know that they just don't want to leave it in the umpire's hands. Yep. And so maybe that pitch, I mean, from our vantage point, that pitch looked, probably outside by a couple inches, but you just don't want to give an umpire a chance to ring you up on that. Great job just fouling that ball off.
And here's the 0-2. Off speed, up above the zone. Retire Lamson. Here's Jason Pintar coming to the plate, another right-handed hitter. Pintar walked and scored back in the second inning. He grounded out to first base in his last at-bat. The next and final game we have today will feature the number 4 Westfield Longhorns against the plucky underdog Skyline Eagles, the 21 seed. And if you think a 21 seed has no chance, well, I refer you to the 2025 season when Spanish Fork won as a 20 seed. So everybody's alive this week.
Yeah, we already talked about it. Teams that get hot at the right time can make a big run.
Strike 2 catches the corner. Pintar behind 0-2.
No, we saw it on the 6A side last year with Harriman making a big run, coming in as a kind of a middle seed.
I believe a 10 or an 11 seed
Yep,
is what they
yep.
were.
They made a deep run into the tournament. They got hot at the right time and were able to knock out some big name teams.
And strike three looking. Jason Pintar's retired. That'll retire the side. We head to the sixth. Payson trails Spanish Fork 3-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com. Back here at UCCU Ballpark, where the Spanish Fork Dons lead the Payson Lions 3-0. The top of the sixth inning, and are you ready to unlock your full athletic potential? At Athletic Potential, we specialize in helping baseball and softball athletes conquer pain, recover faster, and achieve peak performance. Whether you're a professional, collegiate, competitive, or recreational athlete, our tailored approach ensures you're stronger, faster, and more resilient. From personalized physical therapy to sports-specific performance training, we guide you every step of the way. Plus, with remote coaching options, expert support is always within reach. Don't let injuries hold you back. Visit athletic-potential.com today to schedule your consultation and take the first step towards your best performance yet. Leading off the sixth for Payson, the bottom of the lineup is senior center fielder Yoshi Shawgard. Yoshi squares around and pulls the bat back, takes ball one high and inside. So Payson with their backs against the wall right here, down to their final 6 outs. Trying to find a way to get to Matai Johnson. That ball bunted foul. Bounced off the plate, skipped up high. Looked like the home plate umpire out immediately making that call, saying it was foul. That can be a tough one for the catcher because you're listening for the umpire and just focused on fielding that ball.
Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, if that ball hits off the plate and as a catcher you touch it while it's still in the air and deemed fair, that's a fair ball.
Counts 2-1.
Yeah, umpires are all over it though.
Bunt down, back to the pitcher Johnson. It's a good job, but the throw is high, and Shawgard safely with a head-first dive into first. But I gotta say, I don't like the head-first dive into first base, but I do understand it. It's going to be a leadoff single for Shawgard. Back to the top of the lineup for Payson, Briggs, and Hauser. Hauser 0-for-1, reached on a walk back in the first inning. It's just one of 3 Payson base runners against Matai Johnson. Johnson checks the runner and the pitch. Misses inside, gets away. So Shawgard advances to second. Payson with a runner in scoring position for the first time this afternoon. And all of a sudden, that 3-0 lead doesn't look quite so big.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. So at some point, you've got to change things up as Payson just to get something going. You go to small ball, get a bunt, a little high throw. Now you get a runner at first. Then you get a pass ball here. Now runner at second. You get another runner on, tying run, standing at home plate.
Here's the 0-1. Not able to check his swing, 0-2. Check that 1-1 count on Hauser. Following Hauser, it'll be Ty Marvin and Ruger Brathwaite. Line drive center field, sharply hit. The play is made by Nixon Warren. The runner tags. Throw goes to third. The ball beats him to the bag, but he's safe. Spanish Fork thinks they got him at third base.
Yeah, initial tag was tried to apply it. He missed, but because we're on turf and he slid head first, he slid too far. He got behind the base, and there was the second effort of Spanish Fork to try and get him out there, thinking they got him, but it looks like he got back just in time. Umpire saying he's safe.
That's another one of those little things. If you don't play on these turf fields very much, especially with the rain that we had earlier today, you're going to slide further than you would on dirt. So one down here in the inning. There's Ty Marvin at the plate. Marvin looks at ball one. Pops it up. Shallow right field. It stays fair. The runner's going to tag. Strong throw.
Got it.
Right in time. Oh my! Boston Duvall can do it all. With a cannon from the right field foul line. Erases Yoshi Shagard. We head to the bottom of the sixth. Spanish Fork leading 3-0.
To dare mighty things means to embrace challenges. It means to welcome a high-energy culture that prioritizes belonging. To dare mighty things means drawing inspiration from experienced faculty and alums who encourage you to think big. It means to be a part of time-honored traditions while also forging new ones. To dare mighty things means celebrating your achievements with pride and joy, knowing you can make a difference by daring to be great. Join us at the Huntsman School of Business, where we dare mighty things. That's the Huntsman difference.
One of those long days working on your feet? Turn your aching feet to happy feet at Salt Lake Running Company. Our award-winning trained staff will provide a custom shoe fitting that will help you find the shoes, inserts, and socks that will make your workday the best it can be. Locally owned and operated for 30 years, SLRC offers rewards, training groups, races, and free community events. Visit us in-store or online today at slrc.com. Your work feet and workout life will get a boost.
Welcome back to the UCCU Saving Spotlight.
Today's play of the day goes to Becky, a single mom who just got her son Max a youth debit card from UCCU.
This is a big win for Max, who knows that UCCU mobile banking makes it easy for his mom to add money to his debit card anytime.
It's also a big win for Becky, who knows it also makes it easy to monitor her child's spending anytime. Final score, 1 happy son, 1 responsible mom.
With the
Cody McLean leading off here in the bottom half of the sixth inning for Spanish Fork. The Dons lead 3-0 over Payson. Cole Nevis still on the mound facing Cody McLean, followed by Boston Duvall, who happens to do it all. Duvall with a cannon to retire Yoshi Shagard at the plate after he tagged for the third out of the inning. And then Cohen Nelson will bat the 9-hole hitter.
Yeah, we talked about it. You know, as Payson, it's the right call. You got to send your runner there, make Spanish Fork, make that throw, make him earn it, and you challenge him. And
McLean clobbers this ball, splits the gap, left center field, rolls all the way to the wall. McLean rounds second base. He gets the stop sign at third, a head first dive into third base, and it's a leadoff triple for Cody McLean, a chance for Spanish Fork to add some insurance. Yeah, going back to that throw by Boston Duvall, if you're Payson, you have to tag, you have to try and score on that play. And when you get thrown out, it's nothing more than just a tip of the cap. Yep. Hey, you made a great play.
Yep.
You beat us.
That's the beauty of it right there. You just got to challenge each other and see who can execute at the right time.
Now here's Boston Duvall. He's reached twice on a fielder's choice in the second inning. He walked and was stranded at second in the fourth. He takes ball one. We'll see if Duvall, after making that great defensive play in the outfield, can turn around and make a difference with his bat. RBI chance. He's driven in 20 this year.
Yeah, and if you're the Dons, you really want this run in. One more run just seems like it's worth more than one at this point.
Fouled back to the screen. Duvall hitting .338 this season. The lone senior in the lineup for Spanish Fork today. As Duvall strikes out looking, that pitch on the outside edge. Cole Nevis carving. That's his first strikeout. And here's Cohen Nelson. You see Payson defensively on the infield playing in, trying to take away this would-be fourth run. And what that means, if you're Cohen Nelson, if you can just hit a ball sharply, the odds that it'll be able to get through the infield that much better. with all 4 infielders playing on the dirt. Playing on the grass, I suppose. Bouncer to short, and that's exactly why you do it. Cohen Nelson's retired. Now 2 down for the top of the order, and Nixon Warren. 6-3 if you're scoring at home. For Payson in the top half of the 7th inning, it's going to be the heart of the order. It'll be Ruger, Brathwaite, Cole Neves, and Trevin Madsen. So it's where you want to be in the lineup, but it'll be a tough spot for the Lions. First pitch swinging, RBI single right back up the middle. Nixon Warren gets the job done.
Great job by Nixon. Just, you can see these hitters that just kind of have a nice approach. They're basically going to take whatever the pitcher gives them there. And he just kind of stayed back on that off-speed pitch and just didn't do, again, too much with it. Just drove it straight back up the middle, knowing his job is to get that run in, give him a little bit of padding going into the bottom of the, or the top half of the 7th.
Here's Sammy Dart. Spanish Fork first baseman hitting .432. Warren back in safely on the throw to first. Dart 1 for 3 this afternoon, singled and scored in the 3rd inning. The Dart surname grabbing a little bit of notoriety in the state of Utah. New York Giants quarterback Jackson Dart. I believe his younger brother Diesel Dart playing football at Corner Canyon now. Sammy Dart fouls that pitch away. Behind 0-1. Looking down in the Spanish Fork bullpen, nobody working, so I would assume it's going to be Matai Johnson's ball in the 7th inning as that throw to first gets away. Nixon Warren on his horse, turns the corner, gets all the way to the 3rd. That's what you get. Your right fielder is playing in right center. He's shaded so far away, that ball rolls all the way down to the bullpen, and there's just nobody to get to it.
Now that is a long run for both of those fielders. I believe the first baseman picked that ball up.
He did.
After going to get it on turf like this with this much foul ground. Yeah, there's a chance you get 2 bases if that ball's not gotten too fast.
I think if Warren had wanted to, there's a chance he could have scored on that play. But if you're Spanish Fork, why?
Yeah, his third base coach was waving him until the last second, then put the brakes on him. And again, yeah, why? You got 2 outs, get a chance to drive in a run here, get another run up to 5. And if you get thrown out at home, Payson gets a little momentum going into the top half of the 7th.
So 1-2 count now on Sammy Dart. Pitch from Neves misses high. 2-2. Another off-speed pitch misses high. The winner of this ball game will play tomorrow night in the final game of the evening, Game 4. It'll be a 7 p.m. first pitch. Here's the payoff pitch. Misses up high, so a 2-out walk issued to Sammy Dart. Dons now have runners at the corners for Trig Cloward, and Cloward has been good at the plate today. He's walked. He also doubled back in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 2 with a walk.
And I'll see if Spanish Fork tries to pull a little more pressure or if Payson's just going to give up second base here.
Cloward behind that fastball, 0-1. He began the day hitting .395. He's driven in 25 this season, looking to pad that total.
And sometimes you got to look at the hitter at the plate. I mean, in the sense that Flowers had a good game. He's been seeing the ball really well, and his coaching staff, you take that in consideration and say, you know what, we're going to let him do his thing, maybe in a favorable count.
Fly ball, left field, over the head of the left fielder. Clears the wall for a ground rule double. So it's going to be an RBI two-bagger for Trig Cloward, his second double today. Spanish Fork leads 4-0. They've got runners at second and third. 5-0. Apologies, I was going by the scoreboard in-house. I should have known. Should have been going by my book. I've got to, just like we were talking about, as a pitcher, you got to trust yourself. That's on me, coach. So 5-0. The Spanish Fork Dons pulling away from the Payson Lions in a Region 7 battle. Pratt Morley at the plate.
Yeah, if you're the Dons, this is what you wanted right here. Right, just go put up a crooked number in this inning.
So swing and strike against Morley.
Yeah, try not to give Payson any bit of momentum to try and come in and do something in the bottom half. You also got a little bit of cushion. We're seeing a little bit more action in the bullpen for Spanish Fork. We may not see Mate come out to finish it. We talked about saving pitching and those type of things. And when you start getting this lead of 5-0, even more, depending on how things turn out here. Yeah, it allows you to maybe get another pitcher some work and let your starting pitcher get some rest.
I'm not certain on the number down there in the bullpen, but I think that's number 8, Nixon Warren, warming up. So 1-1 count here on Pratt Morley. The pitch from Neves misses outside. So it's Trig Cloward at second base, Sammy Dart at third after a walk. And we'll have a payoff pitch. Strike 3. Morley's retired, strikes out looking. That'll retire the side. So Spanish Fork adds a couple of insurance runs. We head to the top half of the 7th inning, the last chance for Payson. The Lions trail 5-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com.
From UCCU.
Okay, so now he decides to exercise. Yes, this was the best angle.
Life can get a little messy.
No way. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Best day ever.
Some taps create chaos.
No.
TapSpend gives you 1% cash back when you spend and 2.75% APY when you don't. Tap responsibly. Visit tapbank.com.
Top half of the 7th inning, the Payson Lions down to their final 3 outs. Leading off for Payson, it's going to be the 3-hole hitter Ruger Brathwaite, followed by Cole Neves and Trevin Madsen. It's been all Spanish Fork in this one. The only base hit of the day was a bunt single from Yoshi Shagard for the Payson Lions. Matai Johnson got here a little early today and saw what Ryder Huntsman did for Pleasant Grove, and Johnson said, "Here, hold my drink. I've got one too." It's a water that you're holding.
I know what you're talking about.
Lifts that ball out to left field. Shallow coming in on it. Making the catch is Pratt Morley. So 1 up, 1 down in the 7th. Here's Cole Neves hitting .333. Matai Johnson still on the mound, working a gym. 6 1/3 innings of 1-hit baseball. He's only allowed 3 base runners today, 1 walk, 1 hit by a pitch, and 1 infield single. That'll get the job done.
Yeah, had he not come in and pitched after Pleasant Grove's game, we'd have probably be talking a little bit differently, watching Huntsman strike out so many and make such a big noise about his outing. I mean, Matei has thrown an absolute gem.
He has.
He has thrown an absolute gem.
He's had these Payson hitters second guessing all evening. That's another wave at strike 2. So counts 1-2 on Cole Neves. One down, top of the 7th inning. Neves calls time.
How many strikeouts does Matei have now?
Matei Johnson has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikeouts.
I mean, 7 strikeouts going into a 7th inning. 1 hit ball so far. I mean, that as a coach of a team entering a state tournament game, there's not. This is outstanding. This is overperforming. Outperforming the expectation. I mean, he didn't only give your team a chance; he pretty much just shut down Payson for 6 innings, and now hopefully to finish it out for 7.
Pop to first. Sammy Dart calls everybody off, makes the grab, so 2 up, 2 down. Matei Johnson, we've talked so much today about the importance of managing your pitching staff, managing the pitches that you have. And now Matei Johnson just 1 out away from throwing a one-hitter complete game. And what that can do to set you up as you go into the rest of the week. You've got a completely fresh bullpen. You've got everybody available to you. And this is going to put the Spanish Fork Dons in a great position if Johnson can finish this one out. Misses outside to Trevin Madsen.
Yeah, you talk to any coach in the state tournament, and the first thing they'll say is, we hope we have enough depth in pitching. And then you say, we hope that our pitchers are able to take as many innings and get as many outs as possible. And it's teams that are able to manage their pitching well, and the pitchers go out and challenge hitters and get outs. And then defenses play clean games, and those are the teams that end up winning championships.
Well, and that's the key. You said it right there. It's the pitchers that have success are the ones who are challenging, the ones who are staying in the strike zone. They're not worrying about nibbling. They're not worrying about the edges. They're going right after their opponent. They're going with their best stuff. And it's been effective. Matei Johnson, Ryder Huntsman, we've seen some really good pitching performances here in day 1 of the 5A tournament. And there's strike 2. So Johnson 1 strike away from finishing the complete game. Takes a moment, circles the mound, steps back up on the rubber. Big left-handed senior comes set. Here's the 1-2. Misses outside. Cloward tried to frame that ball, can't get the call for his pitcher.
Spanish Fork Dons fan, you a little frustrated, want to end the game on that one.
Here's the 2-2. Fouled straight back. So we'll do it again. If Madsen can reach, Boston Roseman will hit. Still a long road to climb here for Payson. Two again fouled out of play. Nice battle. Madsen doing a good job, forcing Johnson to throw more pitches.
This is what you want to see out of your hitters if you're Payson. You know you're down 5. You got 1 strike left. I mean, you want your batters. You want every one of your hitters that walks to that plate being ready to go and having a good AB, having the right mindset.
Another foul ball. Turned into a gorgeous day at the ballpark. We drove in here and it was raining. It was overcast. Mm-hmm. It was under 40 degrees this morning, and now it's just gorgeous. The sun is out. This ballpark looks great. Rush hour traffic passing, and the storm brought some snow-capped mountains. Fresh and beautiful as a fly to center field. Underneath it is Nixon Warren. And Matei Johnson, a one-hit shutout, shuts down the Payson Lions. The Spanish Fork Dons, the number 1 seed in the 5A tournament, advance with a 5-0 win. What are your takeaways from this one, Mike?
Yeah, we talked about in the beginning the team that can hit the ball hard on the ground consistently and also play clean defense is going to win this game. But realistically, Matej Johnson came out and threw an absolute gem. You're not going to win against a pitcher who's going to come out and throw a one-hit complete game shutout in a state tournament game. He brought his A game. He had the right mindset from the beginning. Spanish Fork Dons looked tough. They look tough and look like they're trying to come back and repeat.
The defending 5A state champions coming in as the number 1 seed. They win game 1 on the back of Matej Johnson, a one-hit shutout. Johnson strikes out 7. He'll be our player of the game. So the Spanish Fork Dons advance. They'll stay in the winner's bracket. They'll play at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. They'll face the winner of our final game today, the number 21 Skyline Eagles and the number 4 Westfield Longhorns. The Payson Lions drop into the loser's bracket. They'll play tomorrow at 1:30. They will play the loser of Skyline and Westfield. I'm Brian Priest. He's Mike Matthews. The Spanish Fork Dons take down the Payson Lions 5-0. You're watching high school baseball on KSLSports.com.